Movement concepts are cognitive skills taught to elementary age children to help them better understand how their bodies move. Movement concepts are also used for instructional planning purposes during the creation of lesson plans or a unit plan. By identifying a movement concept, defining the movement concept, and outlining how the movement concept will be learned and applied by students, teachers are better prepared to effectively teach students. Planning to teach movement concepts helps ensure that students are learning all the appropriate skills for their grade span and provides young learners with the fundamental skills necessary to learn and apply more complex motor skills later in their physical literacy journey. It can be fairly easy to confuse a movement concept with a motor skill. To keep it simple, the word concept means cognitive. While a motor skill is a physical movement which can be performed, a movement concept is a cognitive concept through which motor skills are applied. In other words, a motor skill is in the psychomotor learning domain, and a movement concept is in the cognitive learning domain. Students demonstrate their understanding of a movement concept by applying motor skills in specific ways, demonstrating they can modify their body's actions according to the environment's demands. The movement concept of over, under, around, and through is most commonly taught using obstacle courses or station work. The movement concept is as simple as the title. Students learn how to move their bodies over obstacles, under raised objects, around piers or hazards, and through hoops or tunnels. Although these ideas are intuitive and second nature to older students and adults, explicitly exploring how the body can move in relation to objects in the environment is invaluable for young learners' cognitive development. Students learn problem solving as they discover effective and ineffective solutions. Their creativity is encouraged as they learn new ways to move their bodies, and they develop confidence being physically active as they discover all the different obstacles they can avoid. Furthermore, learning might be enhanced by letting students decide how to move their bodies around an obstacle and giving them several attempts. The movement concept over, under, around, and through is a fun, explorative way to help students learn about the environment around them, personal safety, and the many different ways their bodies can move. Personal space is defined as the limited area that individual children use that is reserved for that individual only. Additionally, general space is defined as the total space that is used by all youngsters in an activity. Teaching about personal space and general space in physical education is highly important because physical activities can present many inherent risks and dangers, especially if students are not in control of their own bodies or aware of their peers. Even games like tag can be dangerous if a student is sprinting extremely fast within a confined area and is in danger of hitting the walls or another student. For these reasons, educators might choose to start with low-risk, highly controlled games in which students are unlikely to hurt themselves or others. As these games are played, the teacher can introduce the concepts of personal space and general space, which might be as simple as saying, raise your arms out to your sides and spin slowly in a circle. This is your personal space. Followed by something like, see the open areas where no one is occupying any personal space? This is general space, and this is where you are free to move during an activity. Personal space and general space are often taught using chasing and fleeing games like tag, or similar games with variations. Another popular example is using a hula hoop around a student's waist to represent their personal bubble. The movement concept of levels in high, middle, and low is often taught during dance instruction. Also, students might be instructed to make their bodies as large or as tiny as possible, which is an example of another movement concept, body shape. During dance instruction, students may be prompted to move their bodies at a high, low, or moderate level. Moving at a high level might look like waving hands, jumping, bouncing on tiptoes, and making the body shape as large as possible. Dancing at a moderate level might be moving normally, motions around chest level, and making a moderate-sized body shape. Finally, movement at a low level can look like crouching to the floor, moving the legs or arms low, and making the body shape as small as possible. By using markings on the gymnasium floor, young students can learn how to move in straight, curved, and zigzag pathways. The teacher can introduce this movement concept as a warm-up activity, a tag game, or as a review of many different locomotor movements. Varying rules and modifications can make the activity engaging and challenging. The teacher might call it a type of line to move on, increase or decrease the student's speed, or incorporate different locomotor movements into the activity. Although this movement concept is very basic, moving in varied pathways helps students develop agility, balance, and coordination. Changing direction on zigzag pathways requires students to decrease speed and then immediately increase speed. And following a pathway can be challenging because the student has to stay on the line. Helping students improve their skill-related fitness increases the likelihood they'll engage in physical activity outside of school and later in life. When writing a movement concept into an instructional plan, such as a lesson plan or unit plan, the format is very short and simple. First, provide a textbook definition of the movement concept. This movement concept definition should be shared with students in learner-friendly language, so students better understand learning expectations and can apply their skills appropriately. For this example, personal space is defined as the limited area that individual children use that is reserved for that individual only, and general space is the total space that is used by all youngsters in an activity. Clearly, the language would need to be modified for conciseness and to be more understandable for young learners. Second, the written movement concept definition should include an expansion of the definition, which provides examples of how students will apply knowledge of the movement concept during the unit or lesson. Some examples for personal space and general space include changing direction and speed appropriately and safely, recognizing and moving through open pathways, and finding large open spaces to avoid taggers. To help with instructional planning, a written movement concept definition should be created for each new movement concept you teach during the unit and school year. Successful teaching of cognitive concepts often requires precise and specific instruction, and creating planning beforehand increases the teacher's confidence and effectiveness. At the elementary grade span, children are still learning how to control their bodies and move safely. Teaching a wide range of movement concepts helps them better understand their abilities and limitations. Furthermore, children learn a wide range of gross motor skills in elementary physical education, which creates many opportunities to apply new skills in varying environments. Finally, teaching movement concepts is aligned with the Shape America grade span learning indicators, including those which are listed at the bottom of the slide. In all, learning many different movement concepts is an integral part of the holistic development of young children in physical education, and educators should specifically and repeatedly emphasize these ideas. Thank you for watching.